Have you ever felt like you didn't quite belong in this world, as if you were born into the wrong time, the wrong place, or even the wrong body? Perhaps you've experienced moments of déjà vu so vivid they felt like memories from a past life. Or maybe you have skills and talents that seem to have sprung from nowhere, as though they were carried over from another lifetime. These aren't just quirks or coincidences, they could be clues to something extraordinary. In Buddhist teachings, the concept of reincarnation, or samsara, suggests that our souls are on a journey through countless lifetimes, collecting wisdom, facing karmic lessons, and striving for enlightenment. Some believe that traces of our past lives linger within us, hidden in our thoughts, emotions, and even our physical instincts. Today we're diving deep into this fascinating concept. Whether you're a skeptic or a seeker, the 9 signs we'll explore are bound to make you question the boundaries of life, death, and everything in between. Are you ready to find out if you've lived before? Let's begin. Section 1. An unshakable sense of déjà vu. Déjà vu, it's a strange and fleeting experience. You step into a place you've never been before, and yet you feel an overwhelming familiarity, like you've walked those same streets in another time. A conversation with a stranger suddenly feels like a rerun of a scene from a forgotten script. What if these moments weren't glitches in your brain, but glimpses into a past life? In Buddhist teachings, déjà vu is often considered a sign that your soul is brushing against memories from another existence. It's as though the veil separating this life from the last is momentarily lifted, giving you a flash of insight into your eternal journey. Consider this. Scientists might explain déjà vu as a misfiring of neurons in the brain, but isn't it curious how some instances feel eerily specific? Not just a vague familiarity, but a deep emotional recognition. You meet someone for the first time and feel an instant bond, as if you've known them forever. In some Buddhist texts, this is referred to as sangha connections, where souls encounter each other across multiple lifetimes, carrying forward unresolved karmic ties. But déjà vu isn't just about people or places. It can also manifest in your passions and hobbies. Maybe you've never set foot in a pottery studio, but the first time you touch clay, you create something that looks like it belongs in a museum. These moments of effortless skill may point to talents honed in a previous lifetime waiting to be rediscovered. And let's not forget the eeriness of phantom memories. Have you ever had a vivid dream about a time or place you've never studied, only to later find that the details match historical records? Coincidence? Maybe. But what if your soul is simply remembering its past? While science might argue for mundane explanations, the ancient Buddhist perspective invites us to lean into the mystery. The question isn't just why we feel déjà vu, but what it's trying to tell us. Could it be the universe nudging you to remember something you've forgotten? Section 2. A profound affinity for a specific era or culture. There's a difference between casually enjoying history and feeling like you were meant to live in a certain time or place. Maybe you've always felt inexplicably drawn to the 18th century European aristocracy, ancient Egypt, or the samurai culture of feudal Japan. This could be more than just fascination. It might be your soul remembering a life lived in that era. This phenomenon is particularly compelling when it comes to specific cultures. Have you ever encountered a language, cuisine, or artistic style that feels deeply familiar, even though it's completely foreign to your current life? You may not have a single drop of Italian blood in your lineage, yet the sound of an old Neapolitan folk song sends chills down your spine. Or perhaps walking through a Moroccan market feels more like coming home than a vacation. In Buddhist thought, this sense of connection is often attributed to samsaric imprints. These are the energetic traces left by your past lives, stored in the subtle layers of your consciousness. When you encounter something that resonates with those imprints, it triggers an emotional or even physical reaction. Think about the implications. If your soul has lived through countless lifetimes, it's entirely possible that parts of those experiences are still with you. Maybe your love for a specific era's fashion isn't just a stylistic preference. It's a reflection of a time when you wore those clothes every day. One striking example of this phenomenon is children who exhibit unexplainable knowledge of ancient cultures. In documented cases, young children have been able to identify obscure historical details about places they've never visited, or even speak fragments of dead languages. While skeptics might chalk it up to coincidence or imagination, Buddhist philosophy sees this as clear evidence of reincarnation. But it's not just about nostalgia. These affinities can also hint at unresolved karma. If you feel particularly connected to a certain era or culture, consider whether there might be lessons from that time that you've yet to fully understand. Could your obsession with Victorian England stem from a life where you faced oppression or privilege? By reflecting on these affinities, you may uncover patterns that reveal deeper truths about your soul's journey. Every fascination is a clue, and every clue brings you closer to understanding the essence of who you are and who you've been. Section 3. Unexplainable fears or phobias. Imagine this. You've never been near a deep body of water, yet the mere sight of an ocean triggers overwhelming fear. Or perhaps you've always been inexplicably terrified of fire, heights, or enclosed spaces, even though you've never experienced trauma related to these in your current life. Where do these fears come from? Could they be echoes of past lives? Buddhist teachings suggest that deeply ingrained fears and phobias may stem from unresolved traumas carried over from previous incarnations. If you drowned in one life, for instance, your soul might carry a visceral memory of the experience, manifesting as a phobia in your current life. These fears are often irrational, but their intensity hints at something much deeper than your present reality. Consider the famous case of James Leininger, a young boy who exhibited extreme fear of airplanes crashing. As he grew older, he began describing detailed scenes of World War II air battles, despite having no exposure to such information. His family eventually linked his accounts to a specific pilot who died in combat during the war. While skeptics dismiss such stories as coincidences or fabrications, they're hard to ignore when the details align so perfectly with historical events. But phobias aren't the only clues. Strange aversions can also reveal past life memories. Perhaps you can't stand the sound of a particular instrument or feel uneasy in a specific type of building for no apparent reason. These aversions may be subtle indicators of unfinished business from a previous existence. In Buddhist philosophy, these fears and aversions are part of your karmic lessons. They may point to areas of growth or healing that your soul needs to address. The key is to approach these feelings with curiosity rather than avoidance. Ask yourself, what am I meant to learn from this? Sometimes facing these fears head-on can lead to profound breakthroughs, helping your soul progress on its journey toward enlightenment. Interestingly, the opposite of fear can also provide insights. Unexplainable courage or resilience in specific situations might indicate past life mastery over those challenges. For instance, someone who instinctively remains calm in chaotic situations may have been a soldier, healer, or leader in a past life. Phobias and fears, when viewed through the lens of reincarnation, become more than just quirks of the mind. They transform into breadcrumbs on the path of your soul's evolution, guiding you to uncover hidden truths about your past and your purpose in this lifetime. Section 4. Strong intuition and psychic abilities. Have you ever just known something without being able to explain how? Maybe you've predicted events, read people's emotions like an open book, or sensed danger before it happened. While science might call this heightened intuition, Buddhist teachings often interpret such abilities as remnants of wisdom gathered across multiple lifetimes. Intuition in this context is the voice of your soul, a voice honed through experiences and lessons from countless incarnations. People with heightened intuitive or psychic abilities are sometimes seen as old souls because their spiritual awareness is more developed than others. Their connection to past lives might give them access to knowledge that seems otherworldly in the present. Take clairvoyance, for example. Some people claim to see flashes of places, faces, or events that feel eerily familiar but aren't tied to their current experiences. These visions might be memories resurfacing from previous lifetimes. Similarly, precognition, the ability to foresee future events, could stem from an understanding of karmic patterns your soul has encountered before. Empaths, those who deeply feel the emotions of others, might also be drawing on past life experiences. Their sensitivity may be the result of living through diverse lifetimes where they developed a profound understanding of human emotions. This could explain why they often feel too much and struggle to separate their feelings from those of others. There's also the possibility that strong intuition is linked to your soul's unfinished work. For example, if you have an unexplainable knack for sensing danger, it could mean that your soul has experienced significant trauma in a past life and is now hyper-attuned to protect you from similar harm. While these abilities can feel like gifts, they also come with responsibility. In Buddhist thought, heightened spiritual awareness is an invitation to use your wisdom for good. Whether it's guiding others, healing emotional wounds, or navigating your own karmic challenges, intuition is a tool to help you and those around you on the path toward enlightenment. If you've ever doubted your gut instincts, consider this. Maybe they're not just instinct. Maybe they're whispers from a part of you that has seen and experienced far more than your current self can comprehend. Section 5. Unfinished business and recurring dreams. Have you ever had a dream so vivid it felt more like a memory than a figment of your imagination? Maybe you repeatedly dream of the same places, faces, or scenarios, ones that feel oddly significant, even though they don't align with your current life. According to Buddhist teachings, recurring dreams are one of the strongest indicators of past lives. These dreams often involve unresolved emotions or unfinished business. For instance, dreaming about a particular person might suggest that your soul has a karmic connection to them. Perhaps you parted ways under tragic circumstances in a past life, and your soul is seeking closure. Or maybe you repeatedly dream of a specific location that feels like home, even if you've never been there before. But it's not just dreams. Recurring themes in your waking life can also hint at unfinished karma. For example, if you consistently find yourself in situations where you need to stand up for yourself, it could mean that your soul failed to learn that lesson in a previous life. These patterns often feel like the universe is nudging you toward growth, and they'll persist until you've resolved them. Buddhism teaches that karma isn't about punishment, but about balance and learning. If you betrayed someone in a past life, you might find yourself in situations where trust is tested in this one. If you neglected your own well-being in a previous incarnation, you might face challenges that force you to prioritize self-care now. The beauty of this perspective is that it empowers you to break the cycle. By recognizing and addressing these patterns, you can free your soul from old burdens and move closer to enlightenment. So the next time you're plagued by a recurring dream or life challenge, don't dismiss it as random. Ask yourself, what is my soul trying to tell me? And remember, the process of resolving unfinished karma isn't just about fixing mistakes, it's also about celebrating growth. Each lesson learned is a step forward on the endless journey of your soul. Section 6. A feeling of being out of place in the modern world. Do you often feel like you don't quite fit in, as though you were dropped into the wrong era or world entirely? Many reincarnated souls experience a persistent sense of disconnection, as though their values, perspectives, or interests are at odds with modern society. This isn't just nostalgia or a preference for simplicity, it runs deeper. You might find yourself drawn to traditions, philosophies, or lifestyles that seem entirely out of sync with the present. For example, you might reject the fast-paced, materialistic nature of modern life in favor of a more spiritual, community-centered approach. This could indicate that your soul has carried over wisdom from lifetimes spent in different, perhaps more harmonious environments. Some reincarnated souls also struggle with feelings of loneliness or alienation. This might stem from the fact that their spiritual journey is farther along than many others around them. They crave deeper connections, meaningful conversations, and a sense of purpose that aligns with their soul's experiences. In Buddhist teachings, this feeling of being out of place can be seen as a reminder of samsara, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. It's a gentle nudge to focus less on fitting into the physical world and more on fulfilling your soul's mission. If this resonates with you, take heart. This disconnection isn't a flaw, but a sign that your soul is on a unique and transformative path. Section 7. Unusual childhood behaviors or memories. Children are said to be closer to their past lives than adults, as their souls haven't yet been fully immersed in the present incarnation. If you had unusual behaviors, habits, or memories as a child that couldn't be explained by your upbringing, it might be a sign of reincarnation. For example, many young children speak of imaginary friends, who, upon closer inspection, seem more like people they've known in a past life. Some children even describe events, locations, or people with startling accuracy, often referencing details they couldn't possibly know. In Buddhist cultures, these accounts are taken seriously as evidence of reincarnation. Another common sign is the display of inexplicable talents or knowledge. If you played a musical instrument or spoke a language fluently without formal training, it could be because your soul retained those skills from a previous lifetime. Similarly, an early fascination with specific places, professions, or philosophies might hint at past life memories. Parents often dismiss these behaviors as quirks, but they're worth paying attention to. Even as an adult, reflecting on your childhood interests and tendencies might reveal patterns that point to your soul's history. What did you gravitate toward instinctively? What felt natural to you before the world told you who you should be? Section 8. Inexplicable connections with certain people. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant connection that defied logic? Maybe it felt like meeting an old friend, even though you'd never crossed paths before. Or perhaps you've had the opposite experience, an unexplainable tension or discomfort around someone, despite no history of conflict. These feelings might be rooted in karmic ties from past lives. Buddhism teaches that our souls travel in groups, often encountering the same individuals across multiple lifetimes. These soul connections serve a purpose, whether it's to resolve unfinished karma, continue a meaningful relationship, or teach each other important lessons. This is why some relationships feel destined, while others feel like tests of patience or growth. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to click with you effortlessly, while others challenge you in ways that force you to evolve? Both types of relationships are valuable. The former often reflect harmonious connections from past lives, while the latter are opportunities to work through unresolved karma. This also explains the phenomenon of love at first sight. While skeptics attribute it to chemistry or coincidence, Buddhist teachings suggest it could be a reunion of souls who have shared lifetimes together. The same goes for friendships that feel more like family or enemies who feel strangely familiar. Pay attention to the people in your life who evoke strong emotions, whether positive or negative. They may hold the key to understanding your soul's journey across lifetimes. Section 9. A deep connection to spirituality. If you've ever felt an unshakable pull toward spiritual practices, meditation, or questions about the meaning of life, it might be because your soul has walked this path before. A deep connection to spirituality often signals an old soul, someone who has accumulated wisdom and a longing for higher truths across many lifetimes. In Buddhism, spiritual curiosity is considered a sign that your soul is nearing the end of its karmic cycle. Rather than being consumed by material concerns, you're drawn to inner peace, enlightenment, and universal connection. This isn't about religious dogma. It's about the innate desire to understand the essence of existence. For some, this manifests as a natural affinity for meditation or other spiritual practices. Even if you've never formally studied Buddhism, Hinduism, or other spiritual traditions, you might find yourself intuitively practicing their principles. Perhaps you instinctively understand the power of mindfulness or feel a deep resonance with concepts like karma and dharma. Others might feel an inexplicable connection to nature or the cosmos. You might gaze at the stars and feel a sense of belonging that transcends time. Or perhaps being in the presence of ancient trees, mountains, or oceans fills you with a peace you can't quite explain. In Buddhist thought, These connections reflect your soul's memory of its oneness with the universe. A spiritual calling also often comes with a sense of mission. You might feel compelled to help others, heal emotional wounds, or guide people toward their own spiritual growth. This isn't arrogance, it's the result of lifetimes spent cultivating compassion and wisdom. Your soul remembers what it means to serve, and it seeks to continue that work in this life. Ultimately, a deep connection to spirituality is one of the clearest signs of a reincarnated soul. It reflects a longing not just to exist but to evolve, to transcend the cycles of birth and death, and to reach a state of ultimate liberation. Conclusion: your journey doesn't end here. As we've explored these 9 extraordinary signs of a reincarnated soul, one thing becomes clear. Life is far more intricate and interconnected than we often realize. Whether you've resonated with these signs or are still seeking answers, your soul's journey is uniquely yours, and it's only just beginning. But here's the truth. Understanding reincarnation, karma, and the mysteries of our existence isn't a solo adventure. It's a shared journey, one where we grow by learning from each other, asking bold questions, and staying curious about the world and ourselves. So if this video sparked something within you, whether it was recognition, wonder, or even more questions, why not take the next step with us? Subscribe to this channel and become part of a community dedicated to uncovering life's deeper truths. Here we explore topics that challenge the ordinary and dive into the extraordinary. From spiritual wisdom to ancient teachings, we're here to guide you on your quest for knowledge, growth, and understanding. And hey, subscribing isn't just a click, it's a statement. It says you're ready to embrace the unknown, to look beyond the surface, and to seek out the wisdom your soul craves. So hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and let's continue this incredible journey together. After all, whether you're a reincarnated soul or simply someone hungry for answers, you're exactly where you need to be. We'll see you in the next video, and trust us, it's going to be just as mind-opening as this one. Until then, keep seeking, keep growing, and remember, your soul knows the way. Till next time, namaste.